At a number 10 spot, we have the Kifune Shrine. This place is very well known as a beautiful sightseeing spot in Kyoto, Japan, but for many locals, the dark history makes them have a different perspective of the place. Kifune Shrine is known as the birthplace of a terrifying ritual known as the Ishunokoku Mari, which refers to placing a curse on someone by placing a nail through a straw effigy, which is sort of like a voodoo doll. Then you nail it onto a tree around the hours of 1 to 3 a.m. We did a 3 a.m. video, so you already know how cursed that time is. If anyone is caught watching this ritual, the person conducting the ritual must eliminate that person, or else the curse will reflect back onto them. The performer usually wears a white kimono, sandals, and places 3 burning candles on top of their head. If you visit the shrine to this day, you will find many trees with holes on it, presumably from the nails of those attempting this scary ritual. At our number 9 spot, with the Ashima Shrine. There is no doubt Japan is a very beautiful place, meaning that most of the shrines I mentioned on this list are very visitable, so I had to mention Ashima Shrine to change your mind on that. This shrine contains over 20,000 dolls who are believed to be possessed from its past owners. The dolls will be left at the shrine as an offering from women to pray for fertility and for safe birth. Come on, look at this place. Tell me you would go here willingly. According to legend, Empress Zengu was journeying home from a war overseas. As she was on her way back home, a huge storm took over the seas and broke the boat partially. This caused the Empress to pray to the gods, and apparently they brought her back safely to Tomagashina. Here she would build the Ashima Shrine to thank the gods for their service. People believe that these dolls over time would develop souls, so the reason why many donate it is to get rid of the curse trapped inside of these dolls that caused many of the problems and issues within their own life. At number 8 spot, we have the Dashogun Shrine. This shrine was originally built by Emperor Kanmu in 794. It was originally built to break the evil coming from all sorts of directions, whether this be from physical enemies or spiritual beings. This became a place where people would go to pray for protection. Specifically, many would call for the god of the stars, Dashogun. Enshrined at the place are many Japanese figures fighting a beast named the Nu. A Nu is a Japanese yokai described as having the head of a monkey, the body of a raccoon dog, legs of a tiger, and a snake for a tail. Pretty terrifying, right? Because these creatures can also transform into a black cloud and fly all over the place. Back in the early years of its construction, it said that the current emperor sent out these powerful warriors to kill it and make the place peaceful at last. Except many believe the Nu is still out there near the shrine, with reports of seeing the creature in the forest surrounding the area. At our number 7 spot, with the Menengi Temple. Menengi Temple is located in Iwamizawa, Japan, and it was originally built in dedication to the Jodo sect of Buddhism. Despite its spiritual beginnings, the temple is now known for the cursed doll that lives within it. The story starts in 1918 Japan. Older brother Eikichi Suzuki bought a doll for his 2-year-old sister Okiku. The doll had a black bob cut and a traditional kimono on it. His sister loved the doll so much that she would even name it after her own name. These two would become so attached together like no other. But in the following year, Okiku became gravely ill and ended up passing away. To commemorate her family put her favorite doll on her memorial shrine. Everything seemed fine until after a few days they would begin to notice something very strange. The doll's hair seemed to be actively growing, and every time it would be cut, it would continue to keep growing. Eventually her family would move away but chose to keep the doll in the same place, thinking that Okiku would have wanted that. Now it resides in the Menengi Temple, where it's said that monks will cut the doll's hair regularly as it keeps on growing. At number 6 spot, we have the Sengenji Shrine. The Sengenji Shrine, also known as a Kappadera, is a Zen Buddhist temple in Tokyo. It got its name from a Japanese mythological entity known as the Kappa. And no, I don't mean that trashy clothing brand. I'm talking about these guys. Kappas are these human-like creatures, small in stature, with webbed hands and feet. It has a turtle shell on its back, and a beak and a saucer on their head, always seem to be filled with water. These creatures would just be known for their troublemaking. They would play games with both animals and humans, and in some cases, the Kappa would impregnate women and drown people in the rivers where they resided. Apparently, when the place was prone to flooding, the people of the area asked for the Kappa for existence, and now many claim that the Kappas are still nearby, claiming the place as their own. There are several statues of the Kappa littered around the shrine, but who knows if one of them turns out to be real. At the hump of our list, we have the Zenkoji Temple. The Zenkoji Temple is a Buddhist temple located in the city of Nagano, Japan. The main temple of Zenkoji has a dark room created for spiritual purposes and acts like a shrine in a way. This dark room follows a pitch black tunnel underneath the temple that monks had supposedly hid the quote key to paradise. In order to do this, you need to hone your 5 senses and have complete focus while trying to navigate yourself through this area. This area is supposed to represent the journey between death and rebirth. It's very simple to understand how this represents the pursuit of enlightenment, which is only possible once you let go of your physical limitations and your concerns. People think that if you find the key, they will be saved, while others believe that if you fail, you will have a series of bad luck and unfortunate mishappenings. Regardless if you succeed or not, this room is bound to have a terrifying experience experience regardless. At number 4 spot, we have Mount Osor. This is one of Japan's most sacred sites, and for good reason. It's claimed by many to be one of the entrances to hell. First, the temple lies on top of a volcanic plain, and as you roam the area, you will constantly pick up a scent of sulfur, which is already eerie because this is the smell of ghosts and demons, supposedly. But volcanic reasons also make sense. According to Buddhist monks, they say that this place resembles the descriptions of hell and also paradise, so this is why many believe this is a spirit hub. Also around the area are these little jizo statues, which were there to guide people who were lost, especially for children to take and keep them for safety. People who have lost their children bring pebbles to the site as an offering for their kids to go easily through the afterlife. Except many of these pebbles are left broken, and many have placed a blame on evil demons in the area. There's also a festival at the shrine where blind women called Itaku bring messages from the afterlife back to the living. So best believe there are quite a few spirits here waiting to be communicated with. At number 3 spot, we have the Owa Nanari Tamaya Shrine. This shrine in Tokyo has one of the most famous ghost stories in all of Japan associated with it. The story goes that Owa was a very pure and faithful woman, married to a terrible man named Tamaya Lemon. This man killed her in order to marry a richer woman. While the accounts on how he killed her vary, this all include poisoning her with terrible consequences to her looks. Obviously, she wouldn't be keen on this whole new marriage thing, and she proceeded to ruin the marriage, making him kill his new wife and her family by making them look like her dead self, and finally killed him too. The shrine was built to represent Owa's angry spirit and is still rests south of the station in Tokyo. At our number 2 spot, we're the Kabukiji Temple. This place has nothing really scary about it except the fact that it has mummified bodies on display. Okay, maybe it is a bit scary. These mummified figures are known as a Sokushin Butsu, also known as the living Buddha or Buddha mummies. These are in fact real people, and they are the bodies of priests who belong to the Shingon sect of Japanese Buddhism. All the mummies we see here are priests who made the drastic decision in self-mummification. Just something about a body that is fully intact for hundreds of years that makes it so creepy, right? The process for the mummification would actually be pretty intense. For the first 1,000 days, they would do extreme fasting and exercising. Then on the next 1,000 days, they would reduce their diets to a bare minimum. The last 1,000 days would consist of entombment. Basically, they would bury themselves alive, essentially while in a deep state of meditation, in order to reach enlightenment. At number 1 spot, we have the Taki Shrine. This shrine is consumed in moss but looks very beautiful, but the story behind it completely ruins it. This shrine was established in the Teryaku era of Japan, which was around 900 AD. Legend goes that a man was hunting for yokai and fighting against sorcery in the region. When he was roaming the area, it would slowly get consumed by a dark black cloud. Unable to move further, the man prayed to the gods and fired an arrow up into the clouds. When the arrow came back down, the cloud drifted away, and the spot where the arrow hit is a supposed location of the Taki Shrine. Every now and then, the mountain will be filled with fog and mist, which only adds to the amazing atmosphere of the nature in the area, but it also has a little bit of creepiness in it. And it's also a time when most of the region's spirits seem to be resting. Many believe that many yokai are resting by the shrine, so it's best to visit this area when there's still light outside, because many people have gone missing when night hits. At number 10 spot, we have Loangsu. Loangsu, or its Javanese translation, means 1,000 doors. And guess what? These guys are liars because this building doesn't have that many doors, but what they aren't lying about is the dark history associated with this place. After being completed in 1919, this building was the head office for the Dutch East Indies Railway Company, then it transitioned into a Japanese military headquarters for World War II. So best believe this building saw countless deaths and other tragedies. Many of the supernatural activity within is attributed to what happened during World War II. It's believed that the Japanese would torture and hang people from the iron beams underneath the ceiling, and it's said by many guests who stand underneath the beams that they get touched or hear the screams of those who were tortured. At number 9 spot, we have Bintaro Railway and Munari Station. Known as one of the most devastating accidents in railway history, the 1987 Bintaro train crash had 2 trains colliding head-on due to a mere miscommunication. From the accident, more than 100 lives were claimed and many more injured. It was so bad of a crash, it took first responders over 2 days to dig out all the bodies and people trapped under the debris. Now the train graveyard located in Munari Station, where all the train metal was buried, is supposedly haunted. At the dead of night, locals claim to see the ghostly apparitions of 2 trains going towards one another, all while hearing the panic screams of those trapped inside. It is said that many pedestrians have been struck and killed after crossing these tracks, and the survivors of these incidents claim they were possessed by the people of the train crash. At our number 8 spot, we have Mall Clender. Back on May 15, 1998, an army of looters residing in East Jakarta had taken over the Yogyakarta department store in response to the sudden collapse of the Indonesian economy. During the time, over 400 shopkeepers and visitors were stuck inside of the building in fear of being attacked if they tried to leave. But as hours went by, the looters eventually burned down the 4-story building with all the people still inside of it. This caused over 250 lives to perish within minutes, making one of the most devastating terrorist attacks in history. However, in the year 2000, they decided to rebuild the burnt down building into a shopping store called Clender Mall. Except many believe this mall to be haunted the moment of its construction, especially since the area claimed as many lives as it did. Workers at the mall report that they still find the charred remains of some who were burnt alive with fingers and other small body parts scattered around the mall. As well, the majority of workers claimed to be in a trance-like state at least once when working, which they all blamed it on the tortured ghost trapped in the building. At number 7 spot, we have the Ghost Palace Hotel. As the name suggests, well, you already know what the name suggests. Ghost. Ooh. So as you can see, this hotel lies abandoned and looks creepy as is. The variations of the story goes from a developer being cursed due to his corrupt practices, or that one night all workers and guests suddenly disappeared out of thin air. The most believable story is that of Tommy Soeharto, who was a son of a former Indonesian president. He went on to construct this hotel back in the early 1990s until he was sent to prison in 2002, which caused all construction to completely cease. Now, after countless years of being completely abandoned, many believe this place is as scary as it looks. Located in the mountains of Bedugul, the Ghost Palace is heavily guarded, but it's said that you can enter if you pay 10,000 rupees for a ticket. Now, if you enter this abandoned place, people report feeling a strong sense of loneliness even when they're with a group. As well, others report seeing the ghosts of people working, which are said to be those who passed away during the construction of this building. I mean, seeing one person in an abandoned place is enough for me to be walking straight back home. At number 6 spot, we have the Octopus House. Located on Pastor Road lies this unusual house that can be described only as having a large octopus on the roof, hence the name Octopus House. Although much is unknown about this now abandoned house, it is said that it was built back in the 1990s, with sources claiming the octopus started off as a bright pink, opposed to the fading black color it has today. Other than the creepiness just given from looking at the house, it is said that the house is used by the Church of Satan. Many stories would have guests coming in the house completely normal, but as they leave, they would leave sick with bruises and scratches to accompany that. In the Humber list were the Menara Seda. The Menara Seda, or the Seda Tower, is a 28-story abandoned building in Kampong, East Jakarta. The building is most popular for its Roman architecture inspiration, with Roman pillars and statues being imported directly from Italy. It was completed in 1998, but after ownership and financial issues, it became abandoned in 2007. But that was far from the end of this building's story. Now the decaying building has quite a few ghosts stuck inside. For example, when the building shut down, people began to notice that the rooms of the building were lighting up, despite the fact that the local power company cut out all power to the building. The reports were in the hundreds, with some even claiming that they saw a person standing in one of these lit up rooms. The basement of this building is supposedly the most haunted, with no security guard willing to walk this area, even when it was opened. Reports say that many encounter an unseen figure, which in some cases will attack unsuspecting victims, tugging their hair and their clothes. At number 4 spot, we have the Goo Complex. In the city of Malang are 3 schools who were in deep connection with the horrors committed in World War II. Back in the 1940s, these 3 schools were used as concentration camps by the opposing Japanese soldiers. The Japanese created an underground system of crawl spaces and secret rooms that connected each school with one another, along with the local train station and governor's office. This would ensure accessibility everywhere on the area. And another strange occurrence in this building is the bloodstains on the floor tiles in each building. And the odd thing about that is that workers say that removing these stains are nearly impossible. At a number 3 spot, we have the Ankol Bridge. Although it is known as a waterside creation area, Ankol is said to contain one of Jakarta's most tragic and dangerous spirits. The ghost that haunts Ankol's Goyong Bridge is said to be that of a beautiful young woman named Siti Arya, who was kidnapped and murdered in the early 1800s after she rejected the advances of a powerful old man. Legend says that her body was left in the rice field right by where the Goyong Bridge stands now. Now referred to as the sweetheart of Ankol Bridge, Siti's ghost, which is also sometimes called Mariam, is said to appear on the bridge at night wearing a white dress or sometimes a black kabaya. The urban legend about her also says that she caused several drivers going past the bridge to get into fatal accidents. The story of Ankol Bridge is so famous that it became made into several movies as well as a TV show. At number 2 spot, we have the Casablanca Tunnel. This is considered to be Indonesia's most haunted tunnel, and it is located in Busuki Ramhat Street near the Kuningan area, and although there is nothing documented about this bridge, it is believed to be built sometime in the 1980s. The tunnel's location used to be a graveyard, so during construction they plan to relocate it, but did so improperly. It's said that this caused many of the spirits to come out of their eternal rest. Although other tunnels have had their own fair share of accidents, the ones that happen in the Casablanca Tunnel are quite different. Drivers who were caught in accidents all claim seeing a woman walking across the street, causing them to crash in the first place. The woman is known as a red robe lady, and as the name suggests, she would be seen walking the tunnel in her red robe. It is said that this is the ghost of a woman whose grave was disturbed and has been there ever since. At our number 1 spot, we are the Druk Cemetery. Of course, cemeteries make excellent haunted locations, but Druk Cemetery next to Kampong is possibly the most well-known haunted graveyard in Jakarta. It is said to be haunted by the spirit of a decapitated pastor who walks around holding his head in his hands and is frequently followed by a giant black dog. He allegedly went hunting for his own grave, which in reality is in another cemetery. The priest is not the only ghost in Druk, although he is the most well known. It's stated that if you're with an odd number group of individuals on Friday nights, you have the best chance of running into him. Apparently, nighttime and visitors to the cemetery are quite common, and there are even reports that the groundskeeper will take you on tour for a small fee. At a number 10 spot, we have the Chong EK Genocidal Center. As the name suggests, this was a pure massacre and a horrible tragedy and Cambodia's long rich history. In the area around this genocidal center, approximately 17,000 people lost their lives and were buried, many whom were bound and blindfolded. For obvious reasons, these were known as the execution fields of Chong EK. This is all but a reminder of some of the atrocities committed by the Khmer Rouge regime, who were known for their forced labor camps and malnourished citizens. Now back to the Chong EK Genocidal Center. This is where the regime would take their prisoners to be executed and now serves as a memorial for this mass grave. This center even features a Buddhist stupa filled with different human skulls retrieved from the field, ranging from the elderly to some babies. Now many feel uncomfortable walking these grounds and sense the presence of those who are suffering there. Many others claim to see the apparition of Pol Pot, who is the leader of this devastating regime. But regardless, knowledge is power, and hopefully this educates us to never go down this route again.
Number 9. Haunted House on National Road. According to some, this is the most haunted place in Cambodia. There are many stories that describe it as a very mysterious island where a lot of people have either passed away or disappeared without a trace. Now on National Road number 5, from Kampong Chang Province to Prasat Province in Cambodia, just 5 minutes driving from Steung Bribo Bridge, on the right hand side, there's a house that most people stop by to pay their respect to, a famous ghost house. There's a very large monument built because a family that didn't particularly want to live created a curse. The curse took residents in a pit they threw themselves in to take their lives. Eventually, people who drove near it started to pass away. It was also said that the residents who lived nearby started to pass away around World War II. At the time, it was a wooden house, but now it's concrete.
At number 8 spot, we have Boker Station. Boker Station once served as a French settlement town and a hideout for the Khmer Rouge regime. Remember that terrible communist party I mentioned earlier? Through its time, many lives were claimed due to the hard labor needed to build all this infrastructure. This town even saw a war with the invasion of Vietnam. This regime used this place as one of their last strongholds, so many lives were lost defending it. Now it lies completely abandoned with only the rundown buildings to show for it. Fortunately, the place opened up for tourism, but many people report feeling sadness walking along these blood-stained grounds. Many people visit the old hotel in the town and they claim to see the apparitions in the corner of the rooms, standing there just watching them. Didn't think it was scary yet? Imagine this place at night. Boom, terrifying.
Now at number 7, Tuol Sleng Genocide Museum. In the 1970s, this former high school was converted into the notorious S21 prison by the Khmer regime, where an estimated 20,000 prisoners were executed. Souls of the victims who were detained, starved, tortured, and executed are said to be roaming the S21 hall. Many unusual incidences have been reported there, including the guards who hear moaning and chains rattling at night. Today, the school or prison has been transformed into a museum where the ghosts of the deceased are still said to haunt the halls. Of the 20,000 prisoners that experienced the horror of S21, only approximately 6 to 12 are rumored to have survived the genocide. The museum employees even leave food out for the ghosts during their lunch breaks. They say that if they don't leave an offering, they can't enjoy their own lunches in peace due to loud noises and other ghostly activities.
At number 6 spot, we have the Independence Hotel. This hotel in Sihanoukville, Cambodia is thought to be haunted by one of its former residents. The wealthy and the famous quickly filled the rooms of the hotel after its 1964 construction. After a few years of prosperity, the hotel closed its doors in the mid-1970s to become a base for the Khmer Rouge soldiers. We can't escape this regime, can we? Rumors claim that the hotel conducted mass killings while using the swimming pool to house prisoners. It was abandoned and allowed to deteriorate before being restored in 1982 and serving as a hangout for UNTAC troops in the early 1990s. It was then shut down in 1999 and had a significant renovation and reopened to visitors in 2000. 2007. Despite the reopening, the new paint couldn't mask the atrocities done within the hotel. Guests would report cold spots in the room, and others would report an infamous spirit of a young girl who took her own life in one of the rooms, or even the aggressive spirits of the 4 robbers who were reportedly shot down in the mid-90s at the hotel. Think you can do a day at this hotel? Cause I can't.
Halfway number 5, Banana Ghost Tree. The story goes that a husband was sent abroad for business, and while away, the wife got sick and passed away. Her spirit became vengeful and started haunting the people of their village. When the husband returned, not knowing about his wife's passing, he quickly realized that the woman he found was not his wife, but her ghost when she unnaturally made her arm longer. He ran away from their house seeking help, but even after a proper burial, his deceased wife followed him to a Buddhist monk's house where he sought safety. As he was reciting prayers with closed eyes, his wife's ghost climbed one of the many banana trees near the monk's house, entered through a window, and immediately took the life of the man. A belief which many people still follow stems from this legend forbidding people from planting banana trees next to their houses, as her ghost spirit could enter through the house by climbing in on a banana leaf. If there was already a banana tree growing close by, all of the banana tree's leaves touching or near the house would usually be cut off for safety.
At a number 4 spot, we have Kokor. Kokor is an island approximately 20 kilometers outside of the capital city of Cambodia. This place is a complete tropical paradise, but as they say, beauty is often deceiving. Turns out this island is nicknamed Murder Island, and they got this name because, you guessed it, the Khmer Rouge regime was here, and they established a prison where they would use it as an execution site. This prison was estimated to have claimed the lives of thousands of people due to physical abuse and malnourishment. This is why many residents of the island claim to see the ghosts of the former prisoners wearing their black shirts and crying out for help in the middle of the night. They even left a brutal display of the remains of those who lost their life on this island. Don't know about you, but I'm still hung up on the fact that it's called Murder Island. Shouldn't this be a no-brainer for all of you guys as well?
Now at number 3, Champa Pagoda. During the broadcasting of a horrific night, a local radio programmee served as a channel for Cambodian people who would call in and share their paranormal experiences. Noah Viseth, a government official residing in Stung Treng and a dedicated listener who tuned in on the show every Saturday and Sunday, said his life was almost taken by the ghosts while traveling along the road in front of Champa Pagoda in the Vay district. His story was this: it was 10 p.m. and I was on my way home from work. Suddenly, a bike ran into me. I avoided it and fell over, and then the bike just disappeared into thin air. This is not the first story of its kind to have been reported. Many claim that they have experienced similar incidences while traveling in the area, which is well known for being a place where hundreds of people passed from traffic accidents.
At number 2 spot, we have the Kampong Cham Ghost House. In 2005, the movie The Haunted House was filmed in this house. Before the shooting, all the actors prayed and made a super ceremony to pay respect to the spirit inside the house. According to rumors, a young couple moved to this newly built house. They dreamed that someone offered to buy a house for $3,000 in net gold. They immediately agreed, and the next morning, they woke up and they saw the gold was placed at the door of the house. But they did not move despite taking the gold. One day after waking up, they found themselves lying on the wilderness with their belongings. Since then, no one has dared to step into the house, and it supposedly doesn't have a speck of dust inside of it to this day.
Now coming in at number 1, Old Shinji Hospital. The now abandoned hospital was built in 1935 by the British colonial government as part of a military base camp in the area. It included 2 military buildings, blocks 24 and 37, that were part of the Kitchener Barracks, which housed the Royal Engineers of the British Army. However, the hospital's peak was short-lived, with the grounds being seized by Japanese troops in 1942 and used as a holding ground for prisoners of war. During the occupation, the hospital was said to have been used as a torture facility by the Japanese secret police, based on the fact that there were rooms with thick chains hanging from the walls and blood-stained floors. Before and after its closure in 1997, visitors and hospital guards claimed to have seen phantoms resembling nurses and soldiers roaming its corridors, as well as hearing unexplainable hellish shrieks. A movie was even filmed on the site, and the crew reported strange occurrences with unexplainable sounds, disembodied voices, and sightings of ghostly figures.
Well, these are the top 10 most haunted places in Cambodia.
Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next time.
Peace out.